Hi, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Circling the Rabbit Hole podcast with me, Dr. Claire Kinuthia. I'm very excited for today's episode. Please be prepared. Make your cup of tea, sit back, and be prepared to listen from start to the end because I have one of my mentors, my seniors in the, let's call it sector, not really industry, as an obstetrician and gynecologist, someone I admire highly and respect a lot for all the hard work that she's done and for the way that she's paved for the younger versions of us, the younger gynecologists, especially so women in obstetrics and gynecology. And that would be Dr. Jean Kagia. I'm so excited to have you on set with me. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation and for joining us. I'll start off, as is the tradition on the podcast, to ask you to introduce yourself.
Yes.
Tell us about a little bit about yourself and what you do, and so that they can understand why I admire you so much.
Thank you very much, Daktari, and for inviting me.
No,
It's a
absolutely.
real big privilege to be able to come and share some few things about life. As you rightfully said, I am a consultant obstetrician gynecologist in this country for a number of years.
For many, many, many happy years.
And currently in private practice.
Okay.
But I also do some other community programs to make sure that are related to my practice of obs and gyne training. Yes.
Okay. Maybe tell us a little bit about that side as well.
About that side of the world.
Yeah.
That side of the world is a very interesting one because it deals with girls or women who are in crisis pregnancy. Someone in crisis pregnancy is somebody who got pregnant when they were not ready. And they ended up being rejected by whoever made them pregnant or by the family.
Right, yeah.
They also now get to a point where they have to reject the offending factor. And the offending factor is the baby.
Yeah.
And so they have only two options. Either go and procure an abortion or ask someone to do it, or they commit suicide. And both of them end up tragically because you could easily lose both lives or even lose one life at any given time. So as an obstetrician, and having dealt with a lot of people who have had complications of abortion, I thought, what can I do to contribute a little to make sure that we reduce this kind of a problem among our girls?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And what did you do then?
So what I did, maybe I can give you a little history.
Yeah.
I was doing my postgraduate studies a long time ago. And you understand what it means to be a registrar. You work hard.
You work very hard.
And one night, I had to clean up 40 women and girls in theater.
Oh.
Yeah, at KNH.
Post-abortion?
Yes.
Okay.
And then at the same time, I even did 3 laparotomies in 24 hours.
Oh, yeah. I remember those shifts.
You remember those days?
I remember those shifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now the only thing that struck me most is that when we are using 2 theaters, by the time you are cleaning one, you are doing the other, and it's like a...
Yeah.
But what struck me is that all these girls and women came up with like a depressive mood. They were crying, whether they had gone for the abortion to be done or whether it was a miscarriage. I saw it pained to lose. And they cried. So I looked at it and I said, surely, can't we do something as gynecologists to make sure that this kind of thing is reduced in public, among our women, since our care is mainly for women. And therefore, that is where it all started.
Okay.
And then I thought, what can we do to come up with a program? It was the year 2000 when I don't know whether you know Youth for Christ.
Yes.
Youth for Christ have a branch which is called Crisis Pregnancy Ministries. They called us for a meeting and they said, please come. Suppose, let's discuss abortion in Kenya. Suppose anybody wanted to legalize abortion. What would you do and what would you say? By us, it means churches and parachurch organizations. Being a Christian, I was actually the chair of the Christian Doctors Fellowship.
Okay.
Therefore, I represented them. During that meeting, we were asked, what would we do? The Catholic Church was far ahead of us because for every 10 years, whenever the country came up with legalization of abortion, they fought it. The Protestants were lagging behind. So then we said, now, can we now join our hands together and do it? Apparently, the Christian doctors had just written an article in the Standard, which said, kill me at 10 weeks of pregnancy, that's an abortion. Kill me at 3 months after birth, that is murder.
Oh, okay.
And then we discussed all the various aspects of it, the social, the legal, the religious, all those aspects. So when it came to a discussion, we showed that article. Everyone said the doctors have done a lot of work. They should lead this particular organization. So we ended up having an organization which is called Protecting Life Movement Trust.
Okay.
It is made up of churches and parachurch organizations. At the beginning, we were together with the Catholics, but they also have their pro-life movement. So we ended up now having more of the Protestant churches working on that. Our work was to go to the community and tell them, what is abortion? What are the causes of abortion? What are the complications of abortion? What are the alternatives of abortion? And how can you prevent legalization of abortion?
Right. Okay.
So we went and did that. But if you remember, in the 2005, we went through what was called the constitutional review. So we are caught in it. Making an organization, we are caught up with the constitution where we are fighting against abortion and changing the constitution. And I was one of the technical advisors to the church.
Okay.
And while we were doing that, the other side which wanted legalization came and said, you church, you Christians, you have no moral authority. No. To refuse abortion because the population of Kenya is mainly Christian. So who are doing the abortions? The Christians. If a girl got pregnant and she's in a choir, what is done to her? If the parents who are Mama Kanisa or Baba Kanisa find their daughter is pregnant, what do they do?
What do they do? Yeah.
So you have no more authority. And it struck us at that moment that this pregnancy, which is crisis, it's actually not a medical problem. It is a social problem.
Right.
And if you come up with a social solution, then nobody will end up going for an abortion. You and I know that if you give the wrong treatment to the wrong disease, then you get complications.
Okay, yeah,
so if you give a social problem a medical solution, you get all the battery of problems of the abortion. However, so after realizing this, we said we need to come up with a social problem.
The solution to this social problem.
So we came up with what we call a rescue center, where anybody who has been thrown out from home and has only two choices of aborting or committing suicide, they come to us.
Okay.
And we welcome them, and we give them accommodation, we give them counseling, we give them, because we are Christians, we teach them, give them out Bible studies. We tell them to trust God, even if the whole world hated them, God doesn't. We teach them life skills, and then we teach them skills in life, and then we facilitate antenatal care and delivery.
Okay.
What is amazing is that by the time most of these girls have delivered, they are welcomed back home.
Right.
Where they were being chased out of. And then the parents said, alikuwa ameruka kichwa. We were okay. But it would have cost them the girl and the baby. So we are happy because most of them are readmitted back. However, there may be a small proportion which has nowhere to go. And therefore we network with other organizations who can take the girl and the baby because ours is a short-term intervention. We also for those who can never be able to look after the baby, or those babies who are from incest, because it's taken to be a taboo, we facilitate legal adoption of those babies.
Okay.
There's some girls who would like to keep their babies and they are not able to economically. So again, you go through the legal system and they are fostered. So a child is fostered in a children's home. He or she stays in the children's home. The mother can go and see her. And when the mother finishes college or school or whatever, or has some business, they can go back.
Okay. And
pick their child back home.
Okay. So you facilitate for lots of different avenues of support for these girls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic way to approach things, because there's no 100% for anyone, and as long as you have healthy options and viable options to support these girls and women, like you said, a lot of them will end up thriving, and we are able to support them through even now gaining economic empowerment to be able to support themselves and their babies. But you bring up and I think that's primarily why we are here today. This is a tough one. We bring up a very important conversation that we are not having.
Yeah.
The conversation around abuse, sexual violence in the home.
Yes.
That is resulting in a lot of incest.
Yes.
And we are seeing so many cases. We've literally just been marching against what looks like an increase, but no, I think it's more awareness of sexual violence, gender-based violence, domestic violence, femicide primarily. It's a hot topic in Kenya.
Yes.
And it's because we are just looking at the numbers. It's unacceptable that we're losing so many women and young girls and boys and children in general to violence, especially so in the home. And I think it's something that, as much as people are shying away from, I'm so happy that I can have this conversation with you. Because when I have these conversations, lots of people go, Daktari, what are you saying? What are you talking about? This thing, you don't talk about these things.
Yes.
What are your thoughts when it comes to this particular issue?
Let me first of all tell you how it all happened. If you remember 2021, there was a total lockdown.
Yes, with COVID.
Because of COVID.
Yes.
And then there was an article, which was from Machakos, and said there were so many pregnant teenage girls.
Yes.
So being a doctor, my first question was, okay, there's a total lockdown. Clinics are closed. Nobody is going to see anybody.
Yeah. You're not leaving home.
So they're at home.
Yeah.
So first of all, how do so many young girls decide they're going to go to a clinic?
Yeah.
And who's giving them a clinic when everything else has ground to a halt?
Yeah.
So I thought somebody had another agenda.
Okay, right, okay.
So, but then later, I said, but wait a minute. Could there be a problem of sexual violence at home?
At home, yeah.
So I went quickly to our statistics. There were not very many girls, but I realized between the time we opened the home to the time we had this 2021, mid 2021, the incidence of incest was 11%, which sounds quite a lot.
Yeah.
Then I said, let's look at our statistics and see between now 2020, when we had COVID, and 2021. No, the first statistics was between the start of the place and 2020.
Yeah.
So now we said, let's look at the figures of 2020 to 2021.
Right, yeah.
You know, I was horrified because we had admitted 30 girls during that time, pregnant in crisis. 10 of them were from incest.
Oh, wow, that's such a huge increase.
What was worse is that out of those 10, you see, that's a 30%. Out of those 10, 3 of them were by grandparents.
Oh, no. Okay, that is shocking.
But if you look at this issue, what happened is we have a total lockdown. There is hardly any food to eat. There's no business. There's nothing. So if you know that you are given an avenue where you deal with your children, most of them will take them where?
To the
shags.
Yeah, you take them shags. You take them to your mom and dad to look after them, because that's where they're safe.
Yeah. So we were not surprised that we ended up with a 30% of grandparents. Again, we looked at it and said, why don't we find out what's happening around? So we contacted the Gender-Based Violence Center, which gives a free toll station. to our surprise, they told us, this thing is so common, but it is...
Yes, exactly. We
There's a
refuse to talk about
conspiracy
it.
of silence. Hardly does anybody report from the family. It's only from neighbors and other people who come and tell them. I said, okay. Now, they said, we'll give you 3 years statistics of our encounter with the girls.
Right.
Do you know, number 1 culprit was the father.
Okay. That's so
Number 2
shocking.
was the uncle.
Right.
We're talking of figures, and figures don't cheat.
They don't lie, yeah.
Number 3 were cousins. And you see now we have got grandparents and a few other people joining
in, yeah.
So that was very, very, very disheartening. It was shocking, but it was the truth. Then we said, let's go a notch higher. Let's ask, do people report? Do the people report to the police? So me, I wanted to get things done.
Yeah.
So I actually wrote a letter to the Inspector General of Police. I didn't even know him.
Okay.
Somebody told me who he was, and I wrote a letter. And I said, this is our organization. We are thinking of dealing with incest. Do you have any data or anything? Claire, you'll be shocked.
Oh my.
Within 3 days, 3 days mark,
Yeah.
I already had a call from the police headquarters.
Oh wow.
I already had, and I was told there is a report for the last 3 years, and it is in your email. Please open your email. In the following day, I was given the same copy with a sealed, an envelope with a seal, the government seal.
Because it's such a prevalent issue.
But they told us, no, it is prevalent, but it is such a top secret. If you find anything you can do, please come, we shall work with you.
Right.
That was very good of the police.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people think police don't do any much work.
True.
But they keep statistics better than most of the people.
That's true.
What struck us about them is that they also give us the different counties and the reportings. But you see, reporting from a county doesn't mean that they are more.
Yeah.
It's only that they have raised awareness and people are ready to report.
Yeah.
Then they said they give us statistics of the girls versus boys, because even boys are being sexually abused.
Yes.
And 89% or so were girls.
Okay.
The rest were boys.
Boys. Oh my. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they gave us, and they said, if you get something you can do, if you have a way, please let us know. And so we went ahead and said, we are going to start what you call a Stop Incest campaign.
Okay.
Yes.
Do people, maybe the right question is, what has been your experience specifically around this, the cases of incest? When you said you try to investigate what the families do when they find out about it, what has been the narrative so far? How do they handle these cases within the family setup?
That's what we are calling conspiracy of silence. You don't say it.
Right, okay.
If it is the father, he's not going to be reported by his wife. No. We had a very, very, very sad story of a girl of 10 who was defiled by the father sexually. And this girl reported to the mother.
To the mother.
When mother heard about it, they sat down with the father. And the conclusion, they beat up that girl to silence. So they never, never, never tell anybody.
So they covered it up.
They covered it up.
Oh my.
And so he continued.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, because now she's the most vulnerable. Who can she tell?
By 11, he had made her pregnant.
Oh no. Oh no.
And he took her for an abortion. Yeah.
Oh my.
He's covered by his dear wife.
Yeah. And
so
again,
when you see what happens, it is very disheartening. Because nobody wants to be known they are doing it.
Yeah.
Imagine an uncle to this girl. Could be a brother to the father. Could be a brother to the mother.
Yeah.
A cousin, who is it? A child of the brother.
Yeah.
A child of the sister.
Yeah.
And you know, we are so hospitable in Kenya. My aunt, my uncle's son finish school, or my brother's son, they come and stay with us, and we are looking for a college for them. It's expensive to hire a room.
True.
You know, that kind of thing.
Or even on the holidays.
Or even during the
Come and
holidays.
stay here together.
Come and
then
stay
we can
here
go
together.
To shags, to shows for the rest of the holiday.
Exactly.
We live as community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was told by one of the counselors, which was very, very shocking, is that particularly among the Christians, you don't want a child to go for what they call sleepover. Yeah? Sleepover, girl goes or they go and live in somebody's house for a sleepover. So people will say, no, we are not going to get our children to go to that family because we don't know them. We don't know their values. We don't know what will happen. But what is shocking, if your brothers invite your children, they'll go.
Yeah. You already assume
your
that
sisters,
they're safe.
You assume they're safe.
Yeah.
And what do? They practice sex. These were being given by a counselor. Yes.
About the experiences that they have been told about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even if you're trying to protect, it happens. That's why I told you it is a very disheartening situation. Because unfortunately, the amount of trauma these girls go through, and the boys as well, are too much. I'm reminded of one little girl she was since 34. She used to be brilliant. And then one day, the teacher noticed this girl has shut down.
Right.
She's not answering questions. She's not talking to anybody. So the teacher asked her privately, what's the problem? She just burst out. I don't want anything. I don't want school. I don't my dad. I don't. Okay. So the teacher said, okay, you don't want. So why don't you want?
Yeah.
That little girl in primary school, she said, you see, my father beat my mother, and my mother ran away and left me with my father.
Oh, no.
And my father has been doing bad manners.
Oh, no.
So last week he said I was pregnant. So he took me someplace at removing the baby. Teacher, it was very, very painful. And I don't want my dad. I don't want anybody.
Oh, no. This poor girl.
So how we came in
Yeah.
is that now they called me and asked me, do you have a space for a girl now who...
Now she is in crisis
because
herself.
she can't go home.
Yeah.
As you look for her to where to go, would you have a space? So these things are happening.
True.
But because it's a top secret, nobody goes to ask, how do these children do? Sometimes I wonder, a man has slept with his child all night. He picks her and takes her to school. Does he expect that child to come back with a knee?
That's the question.
And he's traumatized.
Exactly.
And
How
if the
does she
marks are not
thrive?
good, he's going to make noise.
Yeah. And in the scenario where she thought her mother was where to go for safety,
yes,
but instead you get beaten and you're kept in the same space where he still has access
exactly.
to you. Surely. The levels of trauma there are so...
Yeah.
I'm actually speechless.
And this trauma is so bad that I was talking to somebody who was counseling. One of them was counseling university students. Another one was counseling high school students. So the one who was counseling the high school students told me some girls, when they now opened up on incest and they knew it was very bad, they'd go and ask teacher, is it possible for us to stay in school this holiday?
Oh, no, yeah. So that because they're
said,
safer
why?
there. Yeah.
Because we don't want daddy to do it again.
Oh no. This is so heartbreaking to hear.
It's a mothers in the university. They would say, can we have another extra unit?
So that I stay here.
So that I don't go home. So
Surely.
imagine, Claire,
Yeah.
a home is supposed to be a place of refuge, a place of a lot of love, a place of protection, and a place of provision.
True.
And now it has become a what?
It's like a war zone. You can't be safe in the space where you're supposed to be taken care of.
No.
It
is the most insecure place for anybody to be in.
Yeah.
But because there's this conspiracy of silence, then there's nothing you can do. The child has to remain there and be tortured. And then the question is, this child, what will she become in another 10 years?
True. This young boy,
This
after
young
he's
boy.
being abused at home,
Yes,
what
what will he
happens
be?
in 10 years?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about if she got to be an adult and was going to get married? Do you think she would retain a marriage?
She's
Because
too
of what
traumatized.
happened. One day I was given, sorry, I have so many
It's
stories.
fine. That's why, listen, like I said, this is why I look up to you so much, because we have so much to learn from you, from the various experiences that you've had.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's this man who was very unwell. And he had these big children. And then one day, everybody realized everybody is going home to help this old man. But there's one girl who doesn't go.
Okay, yeah.
And she has got a good job, she's everything. So now the question was, why doesn't she care at all
about her father?
So somebody went to talk to her. And her response was, I have nothing to do with that man. She didn't say with my father.
Okay.
With that man.
Yeah.
So the question is, why that man? Then she said, that's what he used to do to me when I was small. And I'm angry and I don't have anything. He can go and get sick. He can die. I'm not bothered.
I don't care.
Now imagine this is now an adult. And the trauma that she has lived with.
That she's still carrying.
And she's still carrying.
Yeah, she's still carrying.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we hear this is happening, I think we got to get to a point where we say, this is not allowed. And the society has to speak out and condemn it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And get some people put in. Like, I'm sure you read of this Mokorino from Kirinyaga.
Oh, yeah. Yes, true. Yeah.
Who had made the first girl pregnant, she delivered, made the second girl pregnant, his daughter's teenage. And then it was discovered that he was the one who was responsible.
Yeah.
He was taken to court.
But why is
Do you know the magistrate was so annoyed? This is a judge or a magistrate. He said, I'm sorry. For each of the girls, you are going in for 70 years. So you are jailed for the first 70 years. And they're not going to run concurrently. They are going to run the subsequent. You finish with the, So you can imagine that person ever leaving the prison. No, he can't.
He will not leave the prison.
He's not Methuselah to live forever.
True. 140 years is a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the question is, if we had systems that were going to make sure that even these people are dealt with.
Yeah.
But I may hasten to say that it's not gloomy. We're getting somewhere. We have a Chief Justice who is interested in family and children.
That's true.
And I was very happy the other day when she said all GBV cases will be treated in courts. Because before, they used to have to kangaroo courts.
Yes.
There's a goat has died. Or something has been exchanged.
The baraza set up.
Yes, and this is maneno ya kinyumbani, so it is sorted out. So the fact that they are all going to go to court, I think that would be
a good
that
step.
would be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
My only hope, and maybe I'm thinking like a doctor, which I think I am still, is that I wish we could have emergency cases, an emergency provision in the courts, so that if a child is brought who has been defiled by the father, the case is taken, the father is apprehended, and a court meets and is removed from the society.
Quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible, before he does something worse.
True, because again, I can report it as the young girl, and then you don't arrest him. Now I'm at risk. I'm even at bigger risk. He might decide he'll kill me so that there's no witness.
Yes,
he
and
might
the question
decide
is,
to harm you even more.
If even if you have reported, which home are you going back to?
True. Isn't he still in that home?
So what you need to do is remove this errant person, the offender, so that the girl can go home. Of course, there'll be a problem where his wife will come and say, now you did something very bad for your dad. Get out of this. We had one girl who was thrown out, actually.
Because we do have those cases where the mother, the wife of the offender, defends or in fact attacks the daughter, the girl or the son, whoever was defiled in that scenario, attacks them for seducing their father. you wear small things in the house.
Yeah.
You're the one who seduced him. You're the one. Why were you playing where he was sitting? Why were you in that room with him?
But you
Surely.
see, the ball goes back to her. If she has not brought their children well from the time they were breastfeeding to when they started walking, to when she was buying clothes for these children, to teaching them how to speak so that they know the language of good and bad.
Yeah.
She is the most irresponsible person. It is not even the father who is seducing. What is her role in parenting? What is her role in the parenting? Yeah. There was a girl who was taken in who reported, and her father was picked up by the police. When she went home, she found her mother and her auntie begging for her blood.
Really?
You cannot have your father put in.
Oh my goodness.
You must stop. Let's go to the police. Tell the police that your teacher is the one who misled you and said that your dad was okay. So the girl said, no, it is not true. He has done it.
Yeah.
Now again, I was called.
That's a brave girl.
Now I was called.
Yeah.
They have nowhere to take this girl. Do you have a space?
Yeah. Because now her mom will not have her in
because
that house.
Her mother, she was actually thrown out of the house. It's at night. It's near day school. So what does she do? She has nowhere to go. She went to the school and she found a watchman. Fortunately, the watchman was a human being. He had the story and told this girl, just stay here, I'll take you in the morning to the school. So she slept at the watchman's gate for the whole night. And in the morning, she was taken to the teacher. And that's when I got a call. Do you have a space?
Make space for us. We have someone else. We need you to help us.
Yeah, but the point is, this mother is involved in protecting this criminal husband so that he can destroy their child. That's not acceptable in any culture.
True. True. I feel like as humans, we tend to be worse than animals in some of these scenarios because animals protect their young.
That I have not heard of a dog which goes and sleeps with his puppy.
Its own puppy. Exactly. It's impossible. So how are we?
Or a cow. And we who have got more intelligence are behaving worse than the animals.
True. I like that the government, at least the Chief Justice, has made it mandatory that these cases, once reported, should have to go through the court system.
The courts, yes.
But then we still have, especially in the rural areas, in the smaller communities, situations where there's the nyumba kumi or the baraza setup.
The kangaroo courts.
Where they want to resolve things quietly. Like you said, there's a culture of silence. They want to resolve things quietly. How can we help make change at that level?
Actually, that's a very good question. And a lot is happening that people don't know. We have this organization, this parastatal issues with the National AIDS Council Control, AIDS Control Council. They've changed the name now. They are called National Syndemic Disease Control.
Okay.
And initially it was dealing with HIV mainly. Now they have come up with what they are calling the triple threats for the adolescent. What are the three threats? Teenage pregnancy, teenage HIV, and teenage gender-based violence. And so when I heard about it, I went quickly and I talked to this very good CEO. And I told her, the worst GBV is incest. So we quickly now started to fight that one together. So we are working with them. But now what do? They got together with the Ministry of Interior and formed, they got some chiefs and everybody trained. And they go to every county at the grassroots.
Right, okay.
And they have a big baraza. And in that baraza, they invite the county commissioners. They invite their deputies, chiefs, assistant chiefs, nyumba kumi, church elders, the police, the religious leaders, anybody who is in that particular environment. So they get them down and they bring speakers who will talk about HIV, who will talk about gender-based violence, incest, and who will talk about teenage pregnancy, and challenge the community. I had the privilege of addressing one of them all the way in Kwale.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a good break.
Yeah. You got a bit of a holiday as well.
But I addressed about 1,000.
Oh, wow. That's
They
a
have
good number.
big numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know how far they have reached now, but they go from county to county to county.
Okay. Yeah.
So again, people may not know that there are some people who are doing such wonderful work of protecting the children up to that level. And you see, if you come now and you are told that you shouldn't have a child abused by the father, if somebody hears and reports it, and Jubakumi goes and brings a kangaroo court or kills a goat, that person can go to the police. The policeman was there and he knew. And because he doesn't want to be disciplined, he will now take the case forward.
Okay.
There's some places, I think it was in Moranga, where people who are defiling children, that a good system, I hope it still is there, whereby if somebody defiles a child and the administration doesn't report, they lose jobs. A chief has lost a job. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So if we can enforce some of these things at the grassroots, I think we'll get somewhere.
True. Because it is quite a big issue at the grassroots level.
Yes.
You're discouraged from reporting outside. We want to fix the issue privately. But again, we know that tends to leave the child in a very vulnerable position. Like you said, either to be chased away from home or to remain at home with the abuser or the
Then that now brings you a question. You have mobilized these people at the grassroots. So when such a case comes, what happens?
Yeah.
Do you leave that child with the police?
What happens?
Certainly not.
No.
They don't have food, they don't have environment, accommodation or anything for that girl.
Child,
So that now comes up with the idea of what shelters can people give to these children. And we have been advocating of having shelters. We have an organization which is about to be registered called a Network of Shelter Givers in Kenya.
Yeah.
And what they do is if they get such a child, the child can be taken to that shelter and doesn't have to go back home. If a boy has been sodomized, the same will happen. If it's a lady who has been battered by her husband and they're in the streets with their little child, they'll be taken to that rescue center. So we are hoping that eventually every county will open a rescue center. So that every child, every woman, every boy molested can run there. And then all these kangaroo courts will die.
Yeah, true.
We hope.
True. Because then they can have support while these cases are actually now being prepared to appear in court.
Exactly. But again, if they did my emergency recommendation.
I like that recommendation, that we deal with this as the emergency that it is.
Yes.
Get the offender out of that household as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if anybody, like his wife, comes to support, we put her in also.
I agree.
Yes.
Because she's as much of a criminal.
She's part of the participants.
That's true.
And you need maybe to jail 10, 15 and put them in the media loudly. And until people now started saying, hey, if I do that, I'll be exposed. And maybe that may be a deterrent, way.
True. Maybe we can also get to the level where we have registries that if you're an offender, you can appear in somewhere, can look in this area and see which offender lives where. And
in fact, that
make
is
it
something,
as public as possible.
That's something that the Chief Justice had recommended, that they have a register of all those serial or first timers, so that you can go to it and say, yes, this so and so is the defense children. So that would help as well.
That's true. That's true. And then in our homesteads, because in Kenya we are very, I'd say, very religious in general. Maybe not just Christianity. There's also the Muslims and other religions. We tend to be a very religious people. What role can our churches and our church leaders play in such a scenario where we know that there's incest in the homes? We know that our congregants, our church members some of them are the offenders. What role would you say that they can play in terms of a more direct deterrent, or helping these people either rehabilitate or find other avenues so that we get to stop this vice?
I think you have asked a very, very good question. And that's what we have being a Christian organization. We have now gone and we're asking the churches, because they are the best institution to deal with this thing.
And yet they tend to be the quietest.
You know why? Yes, they have lost their voices. Maybe they have serotype on their mouths or got a cold. But the point is, when you look at the church, what does the church have? Sunday school. A Sunday school teacher will see this child who was very, very active,
vibrant,
singing choruses, had just gone quiet. And that Sunday school teacher can unearth that there's something happening at home. They have youth fellowships. What about those young people who walk around looking like zubis and they're just flat? Because the parents say they come to church. But because they're so angry, they don't even follow. We have young adults fellowships. We have women fellowships. We have men's fellowships. We even have professional fellowships. So if every church picked this as an agenda and made sure that it was exposed in every forum, you know, it would be very easy, because we're said to be 95% Christians. Yes.
It would be
the
very
other
easy
day
to
I
be
was
able to-
addressing an interreligious group, which included Christians, Muslims, Hindus, or in one forum.
Right.
And as we discussed, everybody was so angry about it, and they said they must do something about it. We are still waiting for the results. Maybe I can also tell you what else we have tried to do, because of this conspiracy of silence that is so serious. And we asked ourselves, how do you penetrate this silence? And one of the girls was identified, the one I talked to about it earlier, was identified by a teacher by a change. Change of
behavior and
behavior,
the way she's socializing.
maybe the way she's talking, maybe she's walking with the pain, maybe she's crying, or or just shut up. So when we got to that, we said maybe one of the entry points would be the education system. Because these people are able to say so. So somebody introduced us to the Kenya National Union of Teachers. And we went there. We had such a wonderful reception. They said, yes, this, and they started now giving the examples. But then we realized that much as these teachers are likely to identify, they need protection. They talked of how many would be sacked. Because if the board chair is doing it and a teacher happens to report, she will not last in that school. And she has children to feed. So how would she go about it? So we're thinking in terms of how can they be protected. One of the exciting things again is how God opens ways. Last December we had a meeting with all the representatives of Kenya National Union of Teachers in every county.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we had a big meeting where we shared all these things. And of course, again, there were many experiences. One of the things that came out very clearly is that every school now should have a GBV desk.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
This country is doing many things.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I like that. Yeah.
So that you have somebody who is in charge of GBV. A child can go there, or somebody can report in that without being known. Or if the teacher now went around the GBV, nobody will
know who
victimize her.
They'll not victimize directly.
Directly. So that's something we are praying that it will work very well. So that again, it can be exposed. But again, after exposure, we must be able to know what do you do with this child. And where do we take this particular child. And that's why we now came to the churches. Because we said education is not only academic. We have moral education. And this one now goes to the Muslims, the Hindus, the Christians. So they have teachers who can identify. So we are trying to work with the two groups. The one that is academic, teaching schools,
who are teaching in
and then
schools.
we in universities and everywhere, and also the ones which are now the religious sector, which is supposed to come up.
Right.
So it's a big job.
It is, especially because you're trying to root out an evil that has been there for a long time.
Exactly.
And it's actually sort of been accepted as a norm. It's something, like you said, conspiracy of silence. We know it's happening, but we're not going to talk about it, which then is sort of like enabling the perpetrators to continue with the offenses. But the fact that there are different aspects now, people in different areas in terms of the government, the religious organizations, who are coming together to find solutions from every aspect possible.
We are praying so.
Yeah.
And then you see the other thing that people don't seem to remember is that incest is a criminal offense in Kenya.
That's true.
If you go to the Sexual Offences Act, it describes who is committing a crime. A man having to sleep with his sister's wife, sleep with their daughter, their granddaughter. It's a whole...
Yeah, it's very well elaborated.
And requiring a lot of punitive measures. They're taken to court, they're jailed and things like that.
Yeah.
So that we change this home from a crime scene to a home.
Because that's what they have become. Our homes are becoming crime
scenes.
Yeah.
And we must get rid of this crime by removing the criminal.
Yeah.
And making the one who supports him do that he is also an accomplice.
Yes.
And we deal with her as well.
True.
So, but I think we just go on, pole. We can't give up.
True.
We can't throw in the towel.
Our children, surely.
These are our children.
We can't give up on our future generations.
Yes, and if we can't protect them now, what will happen to them? So it is, but a very, very upsetting thing.
It is.
Even
just talking, even starting to try and have the conversation generally, you get so much pushback.
Yes.
I've received a lot of pushback, like, why are you talking? Shh, keep quiet. Those are not things we talk about in public. And I'm like, but they're happening. Why are we not addressing? And I believe that by not addressing it, by not talking about it, I am enabling the perpetrator to continue.
That is true.
It's partly me as the person not talking about it. I'm also protecting the perpetrator.
You're accomplice in the crime.
I'm an accomplice here, for sure. Because if I'm pretending it's not happening, have they stopped? Does it mean these children are suddenly safe?
Yes.
It does not.
Mark you, also as a lady, this could happen to your child.
Exactly.
How would you feel?
Yeah.
If you knew somebody who was your brother, your sister, God forbid, did that to your child.
To your child. It leaves me speechless.
I hope you didn't go killing, but...
the temptation would be there. For sure.
Yeah.
The temptation might be there.
Would be there. Yeah. So, and I think we need to, as a society, it's a high time we stopped burying our hands in the sand.
True. That is so true.
And came out and said, yes, we have an epidemic.
That's true.
If we did everything for COVID, why can't we deal with this epidemic, which is ruining our future generation?
True. That's actually a very powerful question. If we can do the things we do to treat medical conditions,
yes,
why is it that we can't pull out this rot from our communities, from our society?
Because it's not only medical, it's basically social. So we don't know what the sociologists will say.
We'll see.
We don't know what is going to happen.
I need to find some to join me.
And by the way, may I hasten to say, this is not only in the low socioeconomic group.
True.
Because many people come and say, oh no, Daktari, you see, they're living in 10 by 10 house. They're having a double decker. The parents are above or whoever is above. So they are tempted to do that because they are hearing what the parents are doing. Let me tell you, even in the high class, they are doing it. There's one girl who came from a very, very, very high class. And one day, I sent her a message and said, now, you know what I want to do? I want to fight incest.
Incest, yeah.
She was supporting us in the work of now rescuing the girls. The next stage is want to do incest. You know what she did? She told me, I have a secret to give you.
Oh no.
Yes. So she told me, do you remember Uncle so-and-so? I said, yes. He did that to me at 12 years.
Oh my.
And then what happened? I told my mom and I told my dad. And I was told never to say it. Do you know, I hate him, I'm angry, and I'm everything.
Because it's never been resolved.
It has never been
You
resolved.
got away with it, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you could see her social life and interaction, everything had gone down.
Yeah.
So I told her, fortunately, she had committed herself to Christ. So I told her, you know how many sins God has forgiven you? Many. Can you count them?
True.
She said, no.
Yeah.
So I said, if that is the case, you should also get to a point of where you can forgive this man because you can't undo the harm he did. So she was very clever. She wrote a message to Uncle so-and-so. I said, but remember what you did to me at 12 years? I have been very angry with you, but now I have decided to forgive you.
She sent it to him?
He sent it to him.
What was his reaction?
His reaction was anger. How dare you bring this issue back? Do you know you can ruin my marriage?
You can ruin my marriage. Sorry?
So he writes to this. He writes.
That's
to
what
this,
he writes to her.
Yes.
That she can ruin his marriage,
Yes,
not
she
him
can
with
ruin
his behavior.
If the wife discovers that.
Oh my.
So he sends a message to the girl's mother and reports what she has done. And there was war. Because now her mother was protecting the uncle.
Surely.
We're not talking of people who are of small social class. We're talking of people who are billionaires.
Oh my goodness.
But it is happening.
It is.
Then she told me, she sent me a WhatsApp and asked me, what do you think we should do? Because we have a group of us who have gone through that, and they are asking me to ask you, how would you protect children from such homes from being violated? Because that's why everybody has their own room, they have their everything.
There's economic muscle.
Economically, yes.
Yeah.
If she gets pregnant, she can go for an abortion, things like that. So the group of the girls were asking, what can be done?
That's a good question. What can be done? Because now you're dealing not just with an older family member, but somebody who is economically so empowered that they're almost untouchable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I brought that one up because there are many people who want to wash it away and say that it is only in the poor, low socioeconomic villages, and things like that. And yet it is happening in the high and mighty.
True. That's so true.
So we have a lot of problem.
Yeah, we have a big problem at our hands, and solutions that we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. That's the key thing.
And that's what our organization has decided to do. Our organization has said we are going to hit it head on.
Yeah, I really like that.
Because whether they like it or not.
Yeah, true. Whether you are happy with what I'm saying or not,
it's
or
okay.
what we are doing, it's fine.
At least even if you don't want to do anything, you have had.
Yeah.
Yes, we hope being a human being, you'll eventually have some conscience pricked and start changing. Yeah.
Yeah. We can only hope. But in the meantime, we also need to strengthen the repercussions, like you said, so that we can deter this behavior.
I think so.
Because, again, I look at it in the sense that you might also, because you let the perpetrators get away, you might also now be breeding the next generation of offenders. Because if this happened to me and I'm
going to do it to the next person.
I will do it to the next person. It's
and if my dad did it to me, I'm going to do it to my daughter.
Yeah. Because
so what kind of an immoral society are we building?
Imagine. It's scary. It actually just scares me, quite honestly. It's very scary. Sometimes very disheartening, because we also change the narrative of a child's life from very early
completely.
On. You completely destroy someone who could have been completely excellent and thrived, and if we did what we're supposed to do, nurture and protect them and then provide for them, this person could have been absolutely anything. But right from the start, you've destroyed the essence of who they are. How do they recover? And then there's no support. and people don't believe you, and
Yes.
people don't support you, what happens?
I think you have a very important point. That destruction of that child. But remember, as I talked about things like HIV and all that in pregnancy, you know, you could also shorten her life.
True. That's
Because
true.
she could die of HIV.
Of HIV.
Because how many children are compliant with their treatment for HIV?
That's
How many of them you need to go to the clinic?
And remember, we also saw in the same statistics a sudden increase in HIV among those
Yes,
same
the
age
first
groups.
diagnosis. So this is part of the whole thing.
Yeah. It's tied together. It's not
you're
separate.
tied
That is
together.
Pregnancy and HIV are separate, of course.
No.
Not. Yeah.
And so this child is likely to die. Yeah. Young without
Very young.
having done
True.
anything.
Or now in the complications of we're covering it up, we'll go and procure an unsafe abortion.
And a safe abortion.
And we lose that child.
So then
there.
that person has died also. So we are destroying the future generation, not only academically, we are destroying them physically, we are destroying them psychologically, and all the other Kalis.
all of them. All of them
put together.
Yeah. It's devastating. But hopefully, because again, we're starting to talk about this more.
Yes.
We're being more vocal. It's encouraging to hear that we're having these conversations in such high offices and putting seniors, you know, the leaders in those communities, in the different counties are coming together to actually have these conversations.
Yes.
Hopefully we start to see change, because
we hope so.
if we can now push towards repercussions, because sometimes humans don't learn from being told stop.
No.
Sometimes you need to see the neighbor go to jail, and the next one, and the next one.
Yes.
And the wife who covered up also
is also
going to jail.
And the children have gone to the children's home.
Yeah, maybe if we see a bit more of that,
Yes.
it'll help deter someone somewhere.
I think so. And then you brought in a very important point of the church and religious leaders. They stop covering sin. Because sin is sin.
Thank you, Daktari, for saying it out loud. Because
yes,
those are now the most notorious places where you know what is happening in these homes.
Yes.
But you're the first one to tell us.
It could be the pastor.
Who says shh.
It could be the elder. It could be the chairman of men's committee. And at that, we have actually interacted with the general secretary of NCCK. We have interacted with KCCB, the Catholic group. We have also interacted with the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya at that level. And we have told them, let's make this as an agenda. But again,
you see some resistance, some hesitation, some... I don't even know how to approach this topic. You see a bit of shyness around it. Yeah.
So that's some of the challenges we are facing.
Okay. Now just to close, because we can always, this conversation can go on forever.
And we can do it again.
Yes.
Part 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I will definitely have you back because there's so much wisdom yet that you will share. I believe now the audience understand where I was coming from when I say I've learned so much from you. I admire you greatly for all the hard work you've done over the years and deciding to step away from just clinical practice to actually make an impactful change within the community itself. For those who would want to support the trust, how can we reach out and support and help as much as we can? Maybe volunteers, maybe people who want to be part of these conversations that you're having and see how to make effective change. How can they reach you?
As I said, I'm the chair of the Protecting Life Movement Trust. We are not a very big organization, kidogo, but then we have a big God outside us.
Amen.
And one of the things I would like to share is that Kenyans are very generous.
That's true.
Believe it or not, somebody gave us 1 acre of land free in Muranga.
Oh, wow.
To put up a rescue center.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's amazing.
Because they saw what it is doing and
yes.
teaching the society.
The impact that you're having.
And so people can join with us, either if they have counseling skills, they can join with us. They can give us things in kind. Maybe they are farmers, they have a bit of food. They can give us to feed these children. We don't charge them a single cent.
Okay.
No. But God provides for them. We are now currently, we had to do this Stop Incest campaign. So we had to come up with a documentary. I don't know if I sent it to you, a documentary.
I will get it from you and I will link it.
Yes.
In this
so we did a
episode.
documentary.
Yeah.
Again, a group of very young people did a wonderful documentary.
Right.
So it was possible for us to set that information.
Okay.
So disseminating that
The
in the information
Yeah.
would be very useful. We had the same people help us with the social media, get bits and pieces of that documentary
Yeah.
taken out so that the young people can also see it's wrong.
Yes.
Many of them may not know that what is
True.
being done is not right.
Mm.
And of course, wherever they are, talk about it.
True.
Generate a discussion. If it's a chama,
Yeah.
discuss it.
Discuss it.
If it is a group of whatever it is, they just bring up this thing, family issues, bring it up somewhere and discuss it.
Yeah.
And of course, even professional groups, we have been very excited. We have had some group of some young doctors.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine coming saying, when we end up having to put up a house for these girls, said, these children must have water. We are bringing you a big tank.
Nice.
And they brought.
I love that. I love that. Because it takes community to serve.
Yes, so there are people who give in kind. There are those people who give in cash. When we put up a house in that 1 acre, it's not a very big house, but I can accommodate up to 14 girls.
Okay.
But we are short term.
Yeah. Yes.
So they come, they go, they come and go. And it was possible for people within 3 months to donate something like 3.3 million.
Wow.
And we put up a house.
That's so impressive. Okay.
So I'm saying this because if people see how important it is for the future generation, they'll be ready to put in some shillings for the future generation. Right now, we are thinking in terms of fundraising. We want to move our office. It's a very small office at the Church of Nazarene.
Yeah.
We are thinking now we should move it to where our piece of land is.
Okay.
So we'll be coming for fundraising very soon to raise money so that we can put up a house there.
Right.
And then our administration will all move in.
Yeah.
And with all this
work directly
digital
with
life,
the girls. Yeah.
it will be very easy to have meetings and things like that.
True.
So those are some of the ways we can have some help.
Okay.
Yes.
For me, my part, what I will do is put everything, all the details,
Good.
All your contact information in the description below the episode, either for those who are listening on audio as well as for those who are watching us on YouTube. And they'll be able to reach out directly so that they can make as much of a contribution as they can manage, or also come in and help with actual volunteering and actual work.
Yes.
And for those, let's say we want to donate maybe clothes, like you said, some
even
books,
clothes,
some food stuff, we can also be able to reach you
to do that
directly. Yes. So thank you so much, Dr.
And once you do that, I want to promise you something. God will bless you.
Amen. Amen.
It shall not be for nothing.
True.
Yeah,
the blessings always come back. I feel like whenever you step out to make a difference in someone else's life, you're blessed several times over.
Several times over.
That's true.
Yeah. But this has been a very big privilege.
Thank you
just
so
to
much
come
for coming.
here. I hope one of these days you come and talk on part 2 and catch up as to where we left.
What's happened since this conversation.
It will require a cultural change.
True.
And culture takes a long time.
And given that it's an ill, unfortunately, that's been with us for very long already,
yes.
It'll take a lot of work, but soon we will start to see the benefits. We can't just keep, like you said, don't bury the heads in the sand any longer. Let's have the conversations. I pride myself in hosting a podcast where we are the conversation starters.
Exactly.
We have a conversation where people go, what are they talking about? And then they sit amongst themselves and talk about it. That's what we want.
That's a sensitization.
Yes.
And we thank God for that.
Yeah.
So thank God, Daktari, that you have come out of your clinical work and decided to come and share.
True.
Medicine in a different way altogether. Because people think of just doing surgery, delivering babies,
and
yet conferences, whatever it is,
we need to
they are
reach
good.
A bigger group.
But when you go outside and educate the masses,
True.
You'll find that a lot of people, you may even prevent a lot of problems that we have.
True. True.
Yeah,
And
because
you might
you
also,
created
like
the
you said,
awareness.
today you've created awareness that maybe there's a child somewhere who did not know that this is not okay.
Exactly.
And now suddenly they'll listen and learn, okay, wait,
I'm going to
I need
report.
to report.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's
So
what
we thank
want.
God for
Yeah.
that.
So
Yes.
thank you so much for joining me.
You're most welcome.
I will encourage the audience to please make sure, now that you've stuck with us till the end of this episode, look through the description for all the details about the trust that Daktari has so graciously stepped out of her clinical box to make sure that it's running smoothly. Where you can contribute, please do so. And if nothing else, let's have a continued conversation on this particular topic. Incest in Kenya, it's an ugly sounding reality, but it is our reality. Let's start to address this and hit it head on. Thank you so much for joining me again this week, and I look forward to the next one.